Hey, this is Nisse from SACRAMENTUM, and you're listening to What's Metal?
So I just learned it's not a coincidence that we still meet at the Braincrusher. I was hoping that I find a minute yesterday actually, where you played as the headliner actually on the Friday night. So what were your impressions of the show?
Well, it was bloody hot, I can say. It was so warm on stage. So I did absolutely my best, but I know that I could do so much more. But my stamina didn't allow me to do much more. But I think everybody in the crowd were accepting of that because it was so bloody hot in the area. Our drummer, he almost fainted after 2 songs. So it was it was hard, but I powered through. I did okay. You got some in you. Come on, show the audience, and that's what we're about. We will give all of us there and then for the shows. I mean, it doesn't matter which show it is, and that has been a fundamental thing about SACRAMENTUM from the beginning. If it isn't like that, we would quit, which we did back in the days, And if it's like that again now, we will, okay, let's pull the plug, because then we're not true to SACRAMENTUM and the infernal spirit which has its own life now. We don't control it anymore. It more controls us as we set everything in motion, and we created this beast of it's uncontrollable, but we're very, very pleased and happy with that unbound, unchained presence, because it helps us grow even further.
I'm actually very happy that you play at all, because I never saw you playing live in the 90s, even though I followed the band's career. So what's different between today and back then? So I mean, today I would even say that your status in the scene, it's much stronger than in the 90s actually, even though you didn't record anything since I don't know when.
99 was the last recording, but yeah, I didn't, for many years I put all the things aside with my musical career and everything, which had been the biggest part of my life for so many years, and then I just stopped, and my wife told me, you can't do this is not good. But I said, yeah, but I can't do both. I said, I can't be there for you, and I can't be there for the kids, and I can't do everything at the same time. So it's just, you have to choose, I said. And she said, no, but you have to learn. Okay. And it took many years for me to learn. I'm a slow learner, I accept that. And back then in 1999, we felt so fed up with the black metal scene. We were actually ashamed being compared to a lot of the bands that we were compared to, because we thought that it's utter bullshit, And I don't know. I don't want to get into that. People have their own opinions and tastes. And that's okay. But this is, as I see it, the metal of death, and that's something that is sacred for us, and that's why we have the SACRAMENTUM as our band name, because it's a holy oath that Roman warriors took into battle before Christians took over and shoved it down their throat, that this is the new reality. And the thing with that is that you create your reality, no fucking other, not your mother, father, teacher, friend, whatever. You. And you have to think and, go deep within yourself to find that thing, because otherwise you will just live a fucking illusion. I
mean, actually, I know a couple of people that whose relationship actually broke up due to trying to have a career as a musician, or or families fell apart and so on. I mean, you kind of like escaped that. Maybe you were lucky, but aren't you surprised that people still remember the band and hold it in such high regard?
Oh yeah, I was when I actually started writing on the new album. I have never stopped writing. I've been writing poems for my whole life, and I've written a lot of poems during SACRAMENTUM's absence, even though many of them aren't, you can't use them in SACRAMENTUM, they are written in a different language, so to speak. And musically, I have also written down ideas, recorded things, and when we started to get all this material together, we were, whoa, we have almost a record here, from just old ideas. We had recorded 2.5 SACRAMENTUM songs back in 2001 that we didn't remember existed. And we listened to it, and some of the riffs were, whoa, this is fucking great, And now we're just biding our time to make it even greater, because the more time we can let the songs, rest for a while, go back to them, and when I go back to them, I hear directly, this is not good, or this we have to change, or this is perfect. Yeah. So we are in no rush with a new album, even though I know a lot of people are so curious, and believe me, I am too, because it's never finished until we have entered the studio and cleared the studio, then it's finished. So I don't even know, because the infernal and the ancient and infernal spirit of SACRAMENTUM, which of course are a part of my creation and others, but as I said earlier, it controls us as well. We are co-existent. We need each other, and we have neglected this entity for so many years, and it has grown to its full potential, and people started to, do you know now how big you are? And I always said no. Do you think your own material is good enough? And I said no. And then I started listening to it and read my own lyrics from back when I was 17 till 21, and I would like to sit down and talk with this highly penetrating, intelligent young man, So I was, whoa, did I, and listening to the riffs, and whoa, this is fucking immortal. So what can I say? I don't know if we were exactly knowing what we did back then, but what we knew was that we were creating magic, and nothing, absolutely nothing, could get in our way, which we later on lost because of bigger record labels, more stress, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, okay. So there was pressure being put on you, or?
Yeah. When we wrote the contract with Central Media, we had already almost completed the recording of Coming of Chaos, and this is, we didn't know, we didn't have a record deal then, and we were fishing around, but we continued with the recording anyway, and we thought it will solve itself, because we didn't have any money back then, and it's quite costful to do a recording like that. We did it in Los Angeles with Andy LaRocque as well, which Andy LaRocque is a great guy. I love him. He's a fantastic guy, but he's a heavy metal guy. He's a heavy metal. I'm heavy metal, but I'm death metal, I'm black metal, I'm doom metal, I'm thrash metal. Andy LaRocque is more of a heavy metal guy. So he doesn't understand what we are, after. But at the same time, at this time, the scene who had become a fucking joke to us. We were, it felt unworthy to even compare us to a lot of, nature, environments, forest jerking fuck-offs or vampire romantic stuff. I mean, I can relate to all that stuff in the older times, like Nosferatu and stuff like that, when it's mystique, it's magic, it's poetic. But when it just takes out of context and then put in some cheesy lines and, you know, a Donald Duck singer for a vocalist. Yeah. I mean, they don't sing for real. I mean, that's what I do. I'm totally exhausted after because it coming from my soul, and it's feelings. Every word is a feeling. It's not just the lyrics or the poems. It's, you know, how it's done, how it's pronounced, how it's, you know, you can hear the anguish or the fire in it and so on. And that's now I wouldn't have it any other way because I am like that as a person, and I'm not interested in having many people like me or not. I don't care about that. I rather be for myself all the time, actually. But this comes with a and I'm glad, of course. I'm glad that it has became that big. But I was shocked actually when I started to realize how big it is. Well, that Far Away from the Sun, especially, had, you know, evolved on its own. It was no commercial, nothing. It just evolved by itself. And people asked me, "Do you know do you realize how big you are now?" No, I don't have a clue.
It's quite interesting, right? I mean, this is indeed the go-to album, right? For many people. Yeah. So, did you start writing poems or lyrics before you formed the band, or was it a necessity of actually getting together as a band? That's
a good question. I don't really remember why. I started my first band in 1987, and it was called Abattoir. And it was me and my neighbor were just doing like we call it grindcore noise, something like that. And no, the poems weren't. It was just, you know, the most gruesome and you know disturbing things back then. But I was 14 years back then, so I mean, I evolved, and I soon realized, and I started to get, when we changed our name to SACRAMENTUM, that was the real step, and then everything after that has had its own evolvement, and I've been open, listening. I don't decide which whatever. I'm open all the time, and I go with my own flow, not others, because they can trick you to do their bidding or whatever. And then I met Anders, and I told him, I have a band, do you want to play it? Yes! And we, you know, the second week I knew, we went up to Stockholm to see Clash of the Titans gig, which is a classic gig with Slayer and Testament, Suicidal Tendencies, and Megadeth, yeah, oh, of course, yeah, you know. So that's the start with me and Anders, and, you know, that was a week into our relationship, and then, I mean, we have such a bond that is incredible, but it has been, you know, we have been apart for a long time, and when we meet each other, we realize how much we miss each other, you know. It's like a relationship with a lot of love, but with a lot of fucking frustration and aggression as well. But still, you know that you can come to a point that you can collaborate in a good way. But he had his things, I had mine. It was hard to do it then. But then he called me and said, "Hey, Nisse, what do you think about doing these shows on the Death Fest?" And I said, let me think. But the truth was, I already planned the record. I just wanted to have more on my feet to present it to him. This is because I have been asking him years before, what do you think of reuniting SACRAMENTUM? Isn't it time now? And he said, "No, I don't want to do it." And okay, I won't do it without you, so I did my own projects, not released anything. I just did it for my personal. I don't know. I don't have the need to express it to other people. I have a lot of, as you can call it, famous friends. My childhood friend, which was my first guitar teacher, is David Anderson from Soilwork and Nightflight Orchestra. We have several projects together, and we have a lot of recordings, which is fucking good. But you know, he has his things, and I have mine. And when time is right, maybe we will do something about it. But no, it's just
that would be very interesting to hear. Actually, it probably goes in a very different direction. No,
it is interesting. I promise you. It's. We can't set a word and what is this, and you can't. We can't set a label to it anyway. So it's interesting. It's good. It's fucking good. So it would be a shame not to do anything with it, and we will do, but in time. But the main thing for me and him is the creative process. It's for ourselves, but. It's so good, so other people should hear it. And I played it to my closest friend, like Ole Öhman, the drummer for Dissection, which is still one of my closest friends. He's said, "But whoa, man!" And Necrolord as well. And he said, "But shit, this is really good, you know." And maybe.
So maybe going back in time, the first release that you did, or the first stuff that people could hear was a demo tape, right? Cetus Emporium. Yes. So how important was that for the band, and what do you think of it now?
It was our first crude attempt to get our music out of the little shit town we lived in, and the little shit town we lived in were, you know, very homogeneous, and you know. We were like the weird ones sticking out, and you know, all that shit. And we recorded it in a studio was sponsored by the Swedish state, and the studio technician was an old friend of my family's. So actually it was good, but I mean, he played. What can you say? He didn't know anything about this extreme music, you know. So it was what it was, but it was our first attempt to do something serious, and there are parts of it that, interesting, but it's a demo tape, and it was of a naive young band. We didn't even have we never thought about, you know, releasing records or anything. That wasn't the thing. It's the same thing with me and David. The creative process, you know, therapy for our own souls and doing whatever. Yeah. And then we had friends coming over and listening to rest, and I said, "Hey, fuck, you have to go. You're good." And we, what? Oh, okay, maybe, I don't know. And we tried. And we recorded Finlands Malorum after that, which was a self-financed with Dan Svane. And we recorded only in 2 days. You know, it was hectic like hell. But no, we don't have the time to take a retake. Go. But it was a demo that became a CD. But when I listened back to it, I hear things that, fuck, this is good. It stood the test of time, which in my mind, I couldn't recall that. So the first time I sat down with the interview for the new release of Finnish Malorum with the demo, I think Oliver from Zero Tolerance who interviewed me, I said to him, "No, but it was just a demo tape, and we were blah blah blah." So I talked it down, and then afterwards I listened to it, and I had to call him back and say, "Hey, you know, I have to revoke what I said, because I listen to it now, you know, all these years later, and I can relate to this fucking music and that guy who wrote these things." And I was actually, whoa, I'm coming home again. So, and that's where we are now, Sacramentum. We're home again, and no, we're not going away.
That's great. That's great to hear. I mean, with Finnish Malorum, I mean, yeah, I probably can understand why initially you might be critical about it, but I mean back then I think it was it released through Adipokir Records? I'm not. Yeah, it was, right. Yeah. So I think, you know, I don't know who licensed it from you, but I think they heard something in it, and I mean it was at the right place, right time, right? No.
It was Adipokir who licensed it from us, and therefore we released our first album, Far Away from the Sun, which is our the classic album for us, and that's something I am about to change, I hope now, because now I have me and Dan Svane in close collaboration for 2 months. We have been, you know, remixing from the original tapes everything about the Coming of Chaos, because I was so displeased when that album came out. It's good songs. The cover, which is on there, is a skiss. SACRAMENTUM took it and just printed the CDs because it was, you are going to on tour then, we don't have time to wait. Okay, so then you use the skiss. I was so fucking mad. I said to them, fuck you, you can't. Oh, I don't. Oh. And they were close to, yeah, but we should pull the plug on this contract. Yeah, please do that, because I don't want to work with some fucking fascist idiots who tells us what to do and when to do it. We are creative musicians, artists. You can't come and say jump whenever you want to because you want a little money. Fuck you, I said back. And we had a huge war. And then he said something about that I never, ever, ever regret. Forget, it was Robert Kampf who said it. The only band that we have so much trouble with is a band from Sweden as well. And that's Grave. And I said, oh my God, I take that as a huge compliment. You know? We're just preserving our interest in being free artists. That's what we did. I did. And I got a lot of shit from it. So, I don't care, you know.
Yeah. I mean, what was the cover supposed to look like?
It was to have this portal. This was made by The Haunting, the original guitarist from Grotesque, and he did a computer thing where he just turned it, simple, and he said, yeah, something like this, and then he was going to do a painting with it, so it wasn't a computer fuck up. But SACRAMENTUM took it as an original painting, and I said to them, fuck you forever off, and fuck you again, So.
But they still hold the rights, right?
Yeah, they hold the rights to it. And now, 3 years ago, when I presented this to the new boss at SACRAMENTUM, Philip Schult, I told him I laid out my plan from here to there, and he sat there and listened for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and the only thing he could say at the end was, wow. And now I have proved my first wow. I sent him the new remixed album by Svane. Svane said, fucking hell, what an album! My old friend Neklar, which has been one of my best friends since I was 18, he seldom gets excited over records, and what the fuck? I never understand. This is what you do. Oh man, now I understand. Oh man. And we weren't supposed to use a new cover on this one, but Christian said to me, nah, this is the Coming of Chaos. This is Coming of Chaos. Either we do it or we don't. And I said, I will never release an album again without Necrolord's art on it, because he's such a dear personal friend to me. He knows me from, he knows almost every fabric of my soul, and I know him, and we inspire each other. So, I mean, it's stupid to use anybody else to recreate your art. I mean, he has his artistic freedom, which I would never take away from him. But I give him, I want this, I want this, I want this, and then he gets the lyrics, and then he paints his own picture in his mind, and then he starts painting. And every time he overdone himself, and I'm just in awe. And the best thing about it, I always ask him, the original, you won't sell this because this will. And he said, no, it's yours.
Oh, really?
Yes, I own the original Far Away from the Sun, and I will own this. Unofficially, I will show you. It's not quite done yet, but it's next level Necrolord.
So you have the draft already, yeah?
No draft. It's almost finished painting. Yeah.
I mean, he's just legendary as an artist, yeah. So I mean, it's kind of like iconic for the time, and this, yeah.
Grotesque, lies in wait.
Yeah, that as well.
These are the band that inspired Sacramentum to do what they did. Also, Dissection as well, you know, because Grotesque later became At the Gates, and without At the Gates, you know, everybody says Dissection, yeah, but without Grotesque and At the Gates, neither Dissection, Sacramentum, Lord Belial, nobody would be. You know, that's where our inspiration came from, all of that.
It's amazing to see now how influential and big it got, right? Because this was never intended, right? It was just I don't know, passion and something that you had to get out of your heart or out of your soul, right?
Exactly. We followed only. We let our feelings flow, and just was there. And there's a lot of stories. I mean, we were so close with all these bands back then, and Johan Norman, who played the guitar on Storm Light's Bane, for example, stole a very big riff from us. Storm Light's Bane were recorded 2 weeks before Far Away from the Sun was recorded, and Johan didn't dare, because Johan was our guitarist until up to 2 months ago. 2 months before their recording, and we understood him. We said, yeah, no problem, of course you should play with them, and because we saw the potential which they hadn't gotten then. And also our drummer now, Tobbe Kjellgren, he replaced Ole Öhman, and he played all the live shows, and I mean, we're all good personal friends. But the thing is, was the first one I knew from Dissection was John Swetsloot, John Swetsloot, who wrote the Somberlane and a lot of stuff on the first Niflheim album. That's why it's so good. And I mean, those days, I mean, it was pure magic, you know. Everything. People thought for themselves, did this flow, this feeling, and it was amazing. I mean, if you didn't have this flow or feeling, then you didn't show the riff because it wasn't worth showing.
It's great to hear this from you, actually, all the background info as well. But I'm curious now. I mean, what is a big riff that ended up on Storm of the Lightsbane? Which song is it?
I have refused to answer that question. I will not answer that question because it's not relevant. Okay, but still, why it came to happen was because Ole said, you know, one of my best friends still, you know, he's like, fuck Sacramentum, it's our riff, we recorded it before them. And Johan said, no, we can't do this, it's Sacramentum's riff. And we were going to use that song on our recording on Far Away from the Sun 2 weeks later. So we had problems, you can understand, yeah. But Ole, he back then and now, of course, he's a great guy. I mean, I always loved him and I would to the death for him, but no, fuck it, we shall have it. And as I said, nowadays, I actually think they polished and got the riff even better, but they have built a whole song around that riff. That's all I'm saying. I won't say what it is because it's not relevant. No.
It's going to be a mystery forever, but that makes it maybe exciting and interesting still. Yeah. All right. So, I mean, I love chatting to you, but for the radio, we don't have so much time. But so, last question. As always, the show is called "What's Metal?" What do you think is metal? Is there a description for it or definition?
No, man. There's no description for it. The only people who needs description is people who are, being folded into a mold and being created by others. I mean, being metal is being yourself, being true to yourself, listening to yourself. Listen to that inner voice, which is your higher conscience, and start following that voice, and then you will see where you will end up. You'll end up being greater than you ever were. But please, don't listen to others. Stay focused. Do your own thing. I mean, it wasn't easy for me back then, and none of us in the early death black metal days, because everybody saw us as outcast. But we had this inner feeling, this inner strength, this flame burning inside of us. Just do it. And we did it. And it worked pretty well, I think.
You're still here, yeah? I mean, you stood the test of time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thanks a lot for having a chat with me.